All right, jumping in.
All right. I'm Kat.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, a podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and discuss the topics they wish they could teach at school. What are we drinking?
Well, I threw it back to my college days and grabbed a Bud Light for some reason. But after this is done, I have some more box wine lined up. What are you drinking?
Yeah, we've got, we have Franzia still, right?
Yeah.
Really throwing it back to college days.
I know.
I'm going to make you slap the bag. We're going to do it.
So we're doing that?
Yeah.
We're going that far. Okay.
For sure. We're going that far. I'm drinking, it's called Beach Within Reach. It's from this brewery in Memphis called Wiseacre. It's really good. It's like a Corona, but like really sour. Like it tastes like someone like squeezed a bunch of lime in a Corona and maybe put some salt in there. Hayley and Alec don't like it, but I
Not
like
at
it.
all. I'm glad you do. And Wiseacre delivers. You guys got that delivered again,
Yeah,
right?
we did. They're really good. They'll deliver tons of beer within they deliver like within 5 hours. They're pretty good.
Yeah, they are good. So I've been working on something for the past 20 minutes. My little project we were talking about earlier. Someone I saw organized all the apps on their phone by color.
You know, I think that's actually really smart. Alex rolling his eyes at us, but I think that's smart because when you think of an app you need, you know what it looks like.
Do you want to see the results?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Oh, wow. It is beautiful.
Yeah. And then I did like the color emojis at the bottom of it to title it.
That looks
okay. It is
really
beautiful,
good.
but it can't be effective. There's no way it's effective.
It can be effective because even though my apps are all organized by like their function, I still sit there and can't find apps I need.
Yeah.
Because I can't find like the folder that I need.
I can't remember where it is. Like I know what it looks like. Or like if I'm looking for a specific app, most of the time on my iPhone at least, I'll just pull it down, and it'll pull up your most recent ones. And that's the way I do it most of the time. But this I feel good about. As I was doing it, I was like, this is either the worst mistake I could make this week or the best decision. And
the worst mistake I could make this week.
It's been a pretty good week.
As you can see, our lives are embarrassingly easy right now. Yeah, I like the idea of organizing apps by color, but have you seen the people that organize their bookshelves by color?
I have. Addison did that.
Really?
Shout out to Addison, our coach.
That's true. It looks really good, but I don't know. I guess it's better than just having your books randomly thrown into a bookshelf, which is what I have. So
yeah,
maybe I shouldn't judge.
I don't really have that many books. I try to get rid of like stuff. But if I did have like one day when I do have a house and an actual bookshelf, I'd like to have books one day.
Yeah. I hoard all my books at my parents' house because one of my goals someday is to have a library or at least a giant bookshelf, but I don't have the space for it right now. So I
yeah, and moving books is so difficult. They're so heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually a big mistake moving to Memphis. I didn't take my books. I kind of should have, but my thought process was the same. They're really heavy and I never read. So
we're too busy organizing our apps and what else do we do?
We watch Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, we started that up recently. Thank goodness.
That's fun. We also watch Survivor.
Yeah, you guys have been watching it, you and Alec.
Yeah. Alec and I have also been watching. You haven't seen Love is Blind, have you? We've talked about this.
I introduced
or not
you
Love is Blind.
to Love
I'm sorry.
is Blind.
Why did I write Love is Blind? What did I mean? Love Island.
Is that the one where they can't touch each other or touch themselves?
That's another one we should talk about, though.
Doesn't it come out tonight?
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah.
We're talking about Hayley's talking about Too Hot to Handle.
Yeah.
Which is a new show on Netflix where they put all these like hot people together in a house and like the only objective is they can't have sex and then they get to split $100,000.
What does that say about what these producers think about this, like, I'm sure age group that they've selected?
I mean, I think what it says is these people are going to make more than $100,000 off of Instagram no matter what, and especially if they're controversial. So there are definitely going to be people that just say fuck it.
Yeah,
and sleep
we should
together,
watch that tonight.
We should. Yeah, let's please watch it. It should be on Instagram Live. Maybe we'll Instagram Live it. But I was talking about Love Island. It's like a UK reality show
Yeah, I think you've told me some things about it.
And we're disappointed in it. I love
really?
trashy reality TV, but it's just boring.
It's just not trashy enough.
No, it's not trashy enough. And yeah, so we've been watching a lot of TV. We've kind of been doing our jobs this week.
Yeah, we really started up. I made like a YouTube channel for my students and I did videos and lessons there.
Yeah.
So we've been working actually.
Yeah, we have. I called on my students today. It's like really sad. Our school got closed for the year and it's kind of sad that we never got to say goodbye. And
I know.
It's really too bad. And also, like, I don't know, this whole thing is bumming me out. Like, it's just making the educational inequity so clear. Because I had to call today and ask my students, like, if they have internet access at home for online learning. And, like, a handful of them didn't. And I don't know. So I looked up, like, a few places you can donate technology.
Oh, sweet.
One place I found, I didn't find as many as I thought I would, but I found this place called Power My Learning, and you can donate like your used computers or printers as well as money, so that's good. And then I'm sure you can reach out to your local district. I'm sure they would gladly take donations to put technology into the homes of students. Also, I found a lot of Wi-Fi providers that are offering free Wi-Fi to people with school-aged kids right now. So like Xfinity, Charter Spectrum, and Altus are all offering free Wi-Fi. So that's something to look into if you have a student that needs internet access.
Way to step up. I feel like we're really seeing in this quarantine and pandemic the companies that care about the people versus the paycheck. And it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to see.
It is cool. And like companies that are actually doing stuff like providing services for free, like these Wi-Fi providers, that's great. But Alec has really been on this lately about like making fun of companies that like have ads about like we're all in this together. Because we're not. Do you want to say something?
Actually.
Well, my issue with them is that it's all like clearly ads made because they couldn't get to the ad agency in time, and it's all just B-roll of like, here's an empty stadium helicopter shot, and it's like, we're together apart, and like they're all the same ad. It's just B-roll footage with like a quippy thing at the end.
Right. And the ones I have a problem with are the like ads. Is it CBS that's doing this, like rolling like all the celebrities from their network, like saying we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you have to get like fucking young Sheldon saying like, I'm in an airport and like I support you guys at home.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like y'all are not in this with most people. At least recognize that.
Yeah.
Like, we're not in it with most people. We're getting a paycheck and sitting at home in a safe place. Like, I don't know.
Shout out to Dunkin' Donuts though. They had a great commercial
because it had aliens.
What was their commercial?
It was just that it had aliens and Hayley's the Haley.
That's right.
Because it was just something different.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't think theirs was COVID related. It was just like a commercial. And I think that's what made it stick out.
Yeah.
Was because they were making fun of all these other ridiculous commercials. Anyway, I have one more thing where we have some Patreon supporters now. I just want to shout them out and say thank you. So thank you so much, Matt, Amara, and Kristen. Woo! We really appreciate your Patreon donation. We're looking into advertising now. We advertised a little bit this week and it got us a big boost. So we're really excited and thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Yes, thank you so much. You'll be able to say you supported us literally from the very start.
Yeah, from the very start. Thank you guys. And do you have anything else?
No, we went for the long intro. Let's get started.
We did. Let's get into it. So we blew on the breathalyzer beforehand. I blew a 0.11.
Yeah, you did. You brew it.
I brewed it. And I got
a 0.08.
Okay, 0.08. So I'm first. And let's just get into it. So I had this idea and I hesitated to do this one because it's disturbing on a lot of levels, but it's my hometown true crime story and I feel like I really want to tell it.
Nice.
So warning, warning, warning in all caps. This one's explicit. If you have children with you, skip my story, please, because I want to tell you the story of Mr. Hands. So this week I posted on Instagram a picture of Hayley and I dressed up as Hayley was Mr. Hands and I was dressed as the horse lover that killed him.
Good. You need to take a break.
And this Instagram post inspired me to tell you the story of the underground horse sex ring and the death of one of its human participants that rocked my small town of Enumclaw, Washington. I think I hesitated to say that so many times because I wrote it in such a weird way. I don't know why I'm editorializing so much here, but I was really bored today. But anyway, this incident happened in 2005, so it was like pretty recent.
Yeah.
And growing up in Enumclaw, like this is a huge joke. Everyone at my school knew about it. When we would go to like away sports games, the other schools would like shout horse fuckers at us.
Oh
like
my
it was
God.
a way to heckle our school team because it was just so prevalent. And like some people like at school, like people would bring it up, and then some people like who were proud of Enumclaw would get like really defensive and be like, it didn't even happen in Enumclaw, and like Mr. Hands wasn't even from Enumclaw, and like those are both true. Like it happened in unincorporated King County, 5 miles away from Enumclaw. And
so we'll
get to Mr. Hands. So close enough. Like it pretty much happened in Enumclaw. And so our main character here is Kenneth Pinyan. He was a Boeing engineer. He lived in Gig Harbor, Washington, which is like about like 45 minutes to an hour from Enumclaw, depending on traffic. And he went online and met a man named James Tate, who is a truck driver and owned a farm about 5 miles away from Enumclaw, like I said, in unincorporated King County. Together, they filmed and distributed zoophilic pornography of Kenneth receiving anal sex from stallions on the farm under the alias of Mr. Hands.
Oh my God. This is, I'm just picturing a combo of this story and Tiger King.
It kind of was, and we'll get into it. Like, this was a full, like, I don't want to say cult, but like there was this like sense of belonging into this like subculture on this farm that they had going on.
Yeah, after
it was
you
wild.
do something like that with someone else to something else, I think that's a everlasting bond.
It definitely bonds you. And our man Kenneth, he was looking for a bond. So he was 45 years old at the time of the incident. He'd worked for Boeing for 8 years. He had previously been married with children, but he was divorced, and I don't think he saw his kids very much. And right before his death, he had just bought a property and was building a house and a barn that he planned to keep a horse in because he just loved horses. It was just his passion. A while back, he had lost feeling.
Do you identify with him? It was just his passion.
A little bit. He had a certain type of passion for horses. And a while back, he had lost feeling in his body after a motorcycle accident. So because he didn't have a lot of feeling, he engaged in increasingly extreme sexual acts, like just to feel something.
Okay.
And like he would go and use like extremely large dildos, fisting, and eventually that just wasn't enough. So he moved on to horses.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did he do it with other animals on the way to horses? Or?
No, I don't think so. So people who have analyzed this and seen like some of the stuff he wrote online claim that Kenneth wasn't like a real zoophile because while he engaged in sexual acts with animals, this was because of his desire centering around like fetishizing extremely large penises and wanting that sensation and not necessarily romantic feelings toward animals.
Okay.
So it wasn't really the animals. It was like the giant penises.
Yeah. It's like when you catch feelings for a fuck boy and it's really just you have feelings for his D.
Yeah, it's just like that. And I think this was kind of like a common sentiment like in the group. I'm sure maybe a few of them were real zoophiles, but most of them I think like they just were men that like really liked receiving anal sex and wanted a giant penis to do it. So, and obviously there were other things going on that made them it was okay to have this giant penis be a horse. But anyway, so Kenneth met James and like some other men online, and he began making trips to James's farm. And these men would film each other being penetrated by horses, and sometimes they would have sex with each other afterward. And right now, are you wondering how they got the horses to have sex with them? Because I know that's something I was really wondering.
I'm wondering two things. I'm wondering, A, how they got them to do it, and B, they had sex with each other afterwards, but that just seems like counterproductive. If their whole thing is doing it for the big peen, why are they gonna go back to a normal human?
That's a good question. Maybe they were just like, they needed some human energy afterward, like because they're romantically attracted to humans and not horses.
Yeah, it probably is pretty traumatic.
I can't, romantic, not traumatic. I don't know. I'm not in these men's heads. But I think they were all really close. Like they had an emotional bond, so maybe that's where it came from, or they were just like still horny and needed to let off some steam. Probably a combination. We'll never know. We don't need to know. So how they got the horse to have sex with them is basically they'd cover themselves in breeding pheromones and then bend down naked in the field, and eventually one of the horses would just come up and penetrate them. That's just what happened.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that it was gonna take like some coursing, like
no, apparently not. Like,
wow.
Yeah. So these were
so no peanut butter.
What?
You haven't heard like jokes about
No. What are you saying?
Guys who have like peanut butter and they'll like put it on their like themselves.
No, it didn't take any of that.
Yeah, you're right. This is dark.
I mean, I guess the pheromones are kind of like the peanut butter in a sense. They were tricking these horses into thinking they were other horses. And like we were saying, it was kind of like an exclusive club, and the men involved became very close. So one of the men involved describes it as kind of like a classless society, and quote, "It was our own little world." So it didn't matter what anyone did for a living. It didn't matter what their situation was outside of here, because none of them like really knew each other's identities or each other outside of what they were doing on this farm. So it was a way for a lot of these guys to kind of get escape the problems in their lives. And yeah, it was like, quote, where they could get away and let everything hang. But he goes on to say that you could talk about anything in the world and he could trust these people. So they really did become very close.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah, it makes sense. And like, in this sense, it was not just about zoophilia. Like the feeling I kind of got from it is like a lot of these men were outcasts in society, had a lot of problems, and this was somewhere they had friends and felt like they belonged, and they were going in like anonymously, more or less. So it didn't really. This is a way to escape.
Wrist cells all over again.
It really is. Wrist cells is like 1 degree away from horse sticks.
So we should just create a scale. Yeah. Is horse sticks like the highest you can go, you think, or
in terms of dick size?
No, in terms of just like this whole theme of these people.
Like the most extreme.
I don't know.
I don't know. If you know a lower point in your life than having sex with a horse, please write to us about it.
Yeah,
I want to know what it is.
At Night Classy.
Yeah. So it wasn't just, so they had this bond. Most of them, like we said, like weren't romantically attracted to the horses, but one man interviewed did describe another aspect of the appeal of horses, in that like they help you escape. Basically, their worlds are so simplistic and they don't care about anything on the outside world. Like they're just animalistic and have basic needs, simple like lives and intelligence. And when you're like intimate with them, you kind of forget your own problems as well, and you can kind of like be in the horse's headspace, which I thought was interesting.
It's really magical.
Yeah, it's really, what a beautiful thought.
I'm like shutting my eyes right now.
Oh, no. And yeah, so basically most of the men seem to feel like this form of bestiality was euphoric and otherworldly. Quote, "It's an intense, wonderful kind of feeling. I don't think there's anything that can compare to it. There's no pain," which I really struggle with the no pain part, because I mean...
Seems wrong.
It seems wrong. I would say there's almost definitely pain.
Yeah, maybe they just don't feel it through all the euphoria.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Or maybe they've built up to it and maybe there isn't.
Maybe, yeah, I guess, yeah, that's true. If you're practicing with big dildos first, maybe and there's
it just
no pain.
is all good.
It's all good. But while it's all good, tragically,
it's all bad.
While it's all good, it's all bad. And on July 2nd, 2005, Kenneth Pinyan was fucked to death by a horse who was appropriately named Big Dick.
Previously, to his death was named it, or like afterwards they're like, you've earned it?
It was already it was already named Big Dick. But it wasn't even their horse. So apparently yeah.
What?
That night, the horses on James's farm, like, quote, this is a quote from the sheriff, weren't being very receptive. And so they snuck onto a neighbor's farm to use their horse. And apparently they would do this every once in a while. They'd visit this farm. And can you imagine being that horse owner and finding out that these guys periodically snuck onto your farm at night to have sex with your horse?
I would be livid. That would make me, that's like a child. Yeah, that'd be really tough to get over, but it would make me very angry at that person.
I'd be pissed and disgusted, and I'd feel really horrible for my horse. And yeah, so they snuck onto this farm and they were taking turns filming each other being penetrated by the horse. Excuse me.
Why do they have to videotape it too?
Because I think they put it online and people watch it.
Oh.
Yeah. And during Kenneth's turn, he sustained multiple injuries, including a perforated colon. And then his friends drove Kenneth to the Enumclaw Community Hospital, and he was later found dead in the emergency room. They dropped him off anonymously. They just left him there. And according to the medical examiner's office, Pinyan died of acute peritonitis. Maybe that's how you say it, due to perforation of the colon, and his death was ruled accidental.
So the horse's dong poked a hole or several holes in this man's intestine?
Yes. Nice. That's what happened. Yeah. It had a big dick. What can you say?
You can't say anything, I guess. Yeah.
So this was a big deal, obviously, and Pinyan's death prompted the passing of a bill in Washington that prohibited both sex with animals and the videotaping of such an act. Under current Washington law, bestiality is now a Class C felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison. And before this...
Yeah, what was it before?
So before this, bestiality was legal in Washington state, and that's because in the 1970s, laws that criminalized various sex acts were repealed in like a ton, like states across the board, because these like laws were really old and they criminalized acts that are no longer bad, like oral sex and stuff like that. And so all these acts around sex were repealed, and a lot of those acts had statutes against bestiality in them. So the law that was repealed in Washington state read, every person who shall carnally know in any manner any animal, bird, or shall carnally know any male or female person by the anus or the mouth or tongue, or who shall voluntarily submit to such knowledge, or who shall attempt sexual intercourse with a dead body shall be guilty of sodomy. So that was the law taken out, and then like they just didn't think to add another law against bestiality, and that happened in a ton of states.
Of course, that just fell through the cracks. Right. They just didn't think of it.
Right. Who would?
But also at the same time, I think that a law against it probably would not have stopped someone like that.
I don't. Group, so. But at least like they like it's good to be able to punish them for something like that.
Yeah.
And as of now, bestiality is banned in 45 states and 2 U.S. territories. So it is still legal in some states, and it ranges in the states that it is illegal. It ranges from like a misdemeanor. Ohio actually has the loosest punishment on it, where you get like 1 day in prison or in jail. So Hayley's gonna call her senators about that. But it ranges anywhere from like a simple misdemeanor like in Ohio to a Class C felony, or maybe even worse. And there are a lot of reasons to ban bestiality. One of the reasons I have here is that it's not just about animals. Extreme sex acts are often precursors for acts against humans. Deviant sex acts are often a red flag for other acts of sexual violence. And in a study of over 44,000 adult male sex offenders, research concluded that animal sexual abuse is the #1 risk factor and the strongest predictor of increased risk for sexual abuse of a child. So if you're having sex with an animal that can't consent, you might do stuff like that to other people that can't consent, which is, of course, worse. And there's one reason why bestiality and other forms of animal cruelty are now tracked by the FBI as a Group A offense in the National Incident-Based Reporting System in the same category of rape and murder. So animal violence, again, it's like a really strong predictor of acts of violence later on.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And yeah, so there are links between those who abuse animals and those who abuse human beings. And then another reason why people write laws against bestiality is its reactions to moral panic. So the fear that like a form of evil may spread and harm the well-being of a society. So it's just like people's like knee-jerk moral reaction to want to ban this.
Yeah. I'm sure none of those guys as a kid thought that they'd do that, you know?
A lot of them started as kids, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a lot of people, it starts in their early teens, like in puberty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, never mind. Jeez.
Yeah, geez. And then the final one I have here is animals cannot consent. It is unsafe for animals and they could get hurt and they might not want it and they can't tell you they don't want it. And my question was, why is bestiality not illegal in every state? So the reason, so I found one article that there was a state, I think it was New Hampshire, trying to pass anti-bestiality law, and there were farmers protesting it because they were worried they could be unfairly arrested if they need to touch an animal for medical reasons. So I think their problem was that the bill wasn't specific enough and that like veterinary stuff could be misconstrued as bestiality. And then also a lot of times lawmakers dismiss it as trivial or just like flat out refuse to talk about it, which is frustrating. But the bottom line is it should be illegal. Animals cannot consent and it is a form of animal abuse. So don't do it, kids. But yeah, this is a pretty heavy topic. I'm pretty much done, but I just wanted to end it on a somewhat lighter note. So I just copy and pasted some stories about people marrying animals, and I think there are still some states in America where you can marry animals. A lot of these stories were from other countries though. So I have one person, his last name is Elite. I can't really pronounce his last name, but he was an 18-year-old Balinese teenager and was caught in the act of intercourse with a cow after claiming it had flirted with him. So in June of 2010, Elite was forced to marry the animal in a ceremony as part of a ritual, a ceremony to cleanse the village of the unholy act of a man mating with a cow.
What? So then did that give him the right to have all the sex he wanted to with the cow?
You know,
since they're married?
That's a good question. I would guess not, because it's unholy to marry the cow. I think like marrying it was just a way to undo
like
that
cancel
one
it
time.
out.
But I'm just guessing here. I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay.
And then in December 2005, Sharon Tendler, a 41-year-old eccentric British millionaire, married the love of her life, a dolphin named Cindy, at an Israeli resort. Sharon met Cindy 15 years earlier when she first visited the resort. Tendler took a liking to the dolphin and made a habit of traveling to Israel 2 or 3 times a year and spending time with her underwater sweetheart. After a years-long romance, Tendler decided to embark on the highly unusual path of tying the knot with her beloved dolphin. On the afternoon of December 28th, the thrilled bride, wearing a white dress, walked down the dock before hundreds of astounded visitors and kneeled down before her groom, who was waiting in the water.
What?
Yeah. Cindy, escorted by his fellow best men dolphins, swam over to Tendler and she hugged him, whispering sweet nothings in his ear, and kissed him in front of a cheering crowd. Yeah.
I'm speechless.
And then she got in the water to swim with her new husband.
Is that delusion or what is that? How does that work?
Probably delusion. I don't think they were in a sexual relationship because I'm pretty sure this is at like a resort.
Yeah.
Where the dolphins are captive. So I don't see how that could have happened, but she just, it was, yeah.
You know those like Snapchat stories that are companies, I guess, or like news places? Have you seen the one where a woman married a ghost?
Yeah. The pirate?
Yeah.
And then they divorced. What's it called? I think it's an incubus. Like a male ghost has sex with a human woman. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
yep.
Gross.
Well, gross. Yeah, that's the whole theme of this first story, I guess.
No, thank you. Also, no thank you to this next story. In December 2010, Joseph Guiso, a 20-year-old Australian man, married his best friend, a 5-year-old Labrador. Joseph Guiso and Honey were joined in matrimony at Toowoomba's Laurel Bank Park in Australia, and to the real surprise of 30 friends and family members who turned up to witness, Guiso calls himself religious and claims that he felt guilty living with Honey out of wedlock. Even so, he assured people that it's not sexual. It's just pure love. I don't believe him.
Yeah, that seems like he can't see the difference between loving your pet and like the love for like a human, like marrying romantic love.
Yeah. And that kind of applies to this next and last one I have. So in June 2013, the fashion designer Karl Lagerfeld announced that he wished to marry his cat Choupette. And this 77-year-old fashion guru said that he never thought it was possible to love 22-month-old Choupette as much as he does.
Ugh.
Yeah. Lagerfeld is so enamored with the animal that her eyes are said to have been the inspiration for the cornflower blue couture collection for Chanel. And he's the head designer at Chanel.
What?
Yeah. So
is
this
happening?
Right? Why? When Lagerfeld is not at home, his maids have to write down everything Choupette does in a little book so he can catch up and read it later.
Oh my gosh.
So I
wish I was that rich.
It makes me kind of want to make you guys do that for Ghost.
I can tell you exactly what he does. He shakes the screen and tries to get out, and then I shut the window, and he has both his paws up, and he makes like that weird sound at the birds. Like, what even is it's like a growling bark?
Yeah, it's weird. My other cats used to do that too.
It's so cute.
I think my mom told me that it's like them trying to sound like a bird so the birds get closer. But it doesn't sound like a bird. It
doesn't sound anything like a bird.
I feel like he maybe just gets so excited.
Yeah.
He just does it. I don't know, but it's really cute.
It's what he does.
It's just what he does. So Lagerfeld adopted Choupette a year ago after looking after her for a friend for 2 weeks, and then he refused to give her back.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, how do you just refuse to give someone their pet? I guess he's the lead designer for Chanel. He could probably like just get whatever he wants. And he fell in love, and they've been inseparable ever since. And yeah, that's it. That's my case.
Wow. Well, that is a lighter note than what we were going to end on. So I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And it makes me feel better, much, much better about where I am at in my life.
At least you're not part of a horse sex ring.
Yeah. Thank God.
If anything. Yeah. We're glad for that. Well, let's hear a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
We drink a lot of wine here at Night Classy, but we appreciate alcohol in all forms.
So when we heard about Ethyl Ambrosia, a company that delivers gel shots to your door, we were here for it.
Ethyl Ambrosia is a female-owned and founded company that offers an elegant twist on the classic Jell-O shot.
Ethyl Ambrosia's recipe was formulated by one of the nation's top food scientists to be 100% vegan. So the shot's base is 3 kinds of seaweeds rather than gelatin. As a lifelong vegetarian, I have tried and failed so many times to make Jell-O shots. For me, they've always just never turned out right. They're always too runny or clumpy, but Ethyl Ambrosia has somehow nailed it. And even more, their seaweed base means that these shots don't melt until 130 degrees Fahrenheit, which makes them perfect for a trip to the pool or beach.
Now, I'm not vegan, but what got me hooked on these gel shots is their push-up cup. Like Dee Dee, Ethyl Ambrosia's founder, I'm a complete germaphobe and always have hated to stick my finger into the Jell-O shots to loosen the Jell-O. Ethyl Ambrosia's push-up cup allows you to push the gel out of the cup without ever having to use your fingers, and it just looks good.
We've tried the shots and we love them. Both of our favorite flavor is rosé, obviously, but they come in all kinds of other amazing flavors, including mojito, citrus punch, and Moscow Mule. Plus, they're 15% alcohol, so they are effective.
We love Ethyl Ambrosia, and we know you will too. So to order your own box of shots, head to ethylambrosia.com. It's ETHYLAMBROSIA.com and enter the promo code NIGHTCLASSY. All caps, no spaces, Night Classy at checkout for 15% off your order.
Hayley, has anyone ever been a total dick to you?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Well, good news. Now, with Dicks by Mail, you can anonymously send them a box of candy dicks and politely tell them to eat one. Dicks by Mail sends dick-shaped candy anonymously to your friends, coworkers, grandma, whatever. Their products include gummy dicks, confetti dicks, and very realistic-looking chocolate dicks that come in both milk and white chocolate.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I can actually confirm they are very realistic-looking chocolate dicks. My best friend had one sent to her, and she was calling our whole friend group like, did you send this? Did you send this? She sent a picture in the group chat, like, and there are veins. Like, it is very realistic. I went over, ate some of her dick, you know, like best friends do. It's really quality chocolate too. And it's so fun, like the mystery of who it came from. And it's just such a funny product. It's great.
Right. It's meant to be a fun experience. Dicks by Mail was created to put a smile on people's faces. It's not meant to be a threat or a way to bully. If you're sending this with the intent to ruin someone's day, then maybe it's you who needs to eat a bag of dicks.
Probably. And if you want to eat a bag of dicks or put a smile on someone's face and a dick in their mouth, visit dicksbymail.com, dicksbymail.com, and enter the promo code NIGHTCLASSY, the name of this podcast, Night Classy, for 25% off of your first order. Go check it out now. All right. Welcome back, everyone. So, you told me earlier this week that your story was going to be kind of darker, more on the long side of things. So I chose to do a little mini biography on arguably one of the best people on this earth, in my opinion, and I think lots of other people's.
Cool.
Have you heard of Dolly Parton?
No. I'm kidding. Yes. I'm excited.
So I have science to go behind why I say that, like, arguably, like, the world thinks she's amazing. But I think she's rad. I'm just going to list off the reasons to start, and then I'll go into more of her biography. Yeah. But her attitude about life is just, like, insane. Every time I hear something from her, she's radiating positivity. Her nonprofit work is, like, insane as well. She just wants to give back. And I pulled a few quotes that I really like from her. And she says, if you see someone without a smile, give them yours.
Aww, like, that's precious.
Dolly. And her music is, it's country, but she has a super diverse fan group, ranging from like people in cowboy boots to, you know, children, adults, older people, gay people, drag queens. Yeah. And she is like crazy resilient, which I'll talk about more. And she's just really comfortable with herself. And I feel like she just wants everyone else to be comfortable with themselves too. And one of my favorite quotes that touches on this that she said is, I make jokes about it, but it's the truth that I kind of patterned my look after the town tramp. I didn't know what she was, just this woman who was blonde and piled her hair up, wore high heels and tight skirts, and boy, she was the prettiest thing I'd ever seen. Mama used to say, "Aw, she's just trash." And I thought, that's what I want to be when I grow up. Trash.
You know, I see where she's coming from.
I do too. And I think she's carried that perspective that she had obviously when she was a little kid throughout her whole life, just seeing like the absolute best in people. And she's obviously funny. Another funny quote that I pulled for her is, I was the first woman to burn my bra. It took the fire department 4 days to put it out. So if you're unfamiliar with Dolly Parton, she has large breasts. And I think that's large. What she's touching on there. So a little background on Dolly. She was born January 19th in 1946. So she's a Capricorn, just like you. Aww. And she was born in Locust Ridge, Tennessee. So this is like super rural, right near the Great Smoky Mountains. And she was the fourth child out of 12.
Jesus.
Yeah. And they all lived in a 1-bedroom cabin with no electricity.
Can you imagine?
I cannot and will not.
No. Like 12, you can't even escape
plus mom
to go
and
to
dad.
the bathroom.
So 14 people. all like cooped up like in freaking like Appalachia.
Yeah.
Basically.
Nothing to do. It's truly like it's hard to even really like it's cliche, but like I can't believe it.
I know.
Yeah.
And she's really like the rags to riches story. And like they even say, not they say, it's a fact. Her father paid for Dolly's birth with a sack of oatmeal because they didn't have any money. And that's all they had.
Wow.
And thankfully the doctor accepted it.
Wow.
And like her father could not read. He would save parts of his lunch and bring it home to share with the children.
Oh my God.
They were so broke. One time Dolly was jumping over a fence. Sounds like she was barefoot. She jumped over a fence, landed on a broken mason jar, and like severely cut 3 of her toes. They were hanging off of her foot. And they were just barely on. And that's what she said. They were just hanging in there. And they couldn't afford a doctor. So her father and brothers had to hold her down while her mom applied some antiseptic. And then her mom literally sewed her toes back on with her sewing needle she used for quilting.
I thought you were going to say they cut her toes off, which almost would have made more sense to me because you said they were hanging on, I imagine.
They were pretty close. They probably could have done that too, and it would have been just fine.
I feel so stupid. I was sitting here like, how did a mason jar cut through bone? That makes more sense.
Yeah, they were just hanging on. I don't think the bone wasn't severed too bad or anything like that. But yeah, so
that's horrific.
Sets the tone there for you about their conditions.
I can't believe she still has her foot. Like it didn't get infected.
I know. And she's so like blasé about it. She's like, yeah, that happened. You see me walking on these toes today though, don't you? Like she's
in
like,
her kitten heels running around.
Oh yeah. And music, it ran in her family. She learned about it a lot through performing at their church. She received her first guitar from her uncle Bill Owens at age 10, and then shortly after that she caught people's eyes and she was performing for local TV, radio stations in Knoxville. And then 3 years later after that, she made her like grand debut at the Grand Ole Opry House.
Wow. So it was fast.
It was quick. Like she was a teenager.
Wow.
And music has been her path ever since. So obviously we know it was a super successful music career, and she's one of very few individuals to have been nominated for all 4 American Entertainment Awards. So she's been nominated for an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. And the U.S. Congress has even awarded her a Living Legend Award.
That's cool.
So she's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then one other thing, she married her husband, Carl Dean, in 1966. So this will be their 54th year of marriage this year.
Wow. I had no idea.
I know, right?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen him.
Yeah. He's a white guy. I don't really know how else to describe
Old
him.
white guy.
Yeah.
He also has big boobs.
Pretty much.
I don't know.
So that's a really short bio, but I put in some other stuff as well. I want to play a quick trivia game with you.
Oh man.
And let's see what you know about Dolly.
Nothing.
And then either way, let's see if you can guess it right, because I feel like you're good at these types of things.
Is it multiple choice?
Some of them are.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 1. Dolly is blessed with oodles of musical talent, but which of the following instruments does Dolly Parton not play? A, banjo. B, auto harp. C, penny whistle. D, sitar.
Banjo.
Wrong. She does play the banjo.
Okay.
She also plays the auto harp and the penny whistle. She does not play the sitar though.
The sitar?
Yeah, sitar.
Oh, I thought you said guitar. Okay.
Oh, sorry. No, she plays the guitar too.
I don't know.
Yeah, so she can play like 10 instruments total.
Wow.
Including the acoustic guitar, electric, 5-string banjo, the fiddle. What is a dulcimer? Do you know what that is?
Alec does. He's going to tell us.
The hammer dulcimer, it's like strings you play with a hammer mallet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So she has that talent. I'm glad I even pronounced it correctly.
Yeah.
She can play that. She can play the piano and auto harp, and she's played like all of those all within one show.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever, I mean, yeah, I don't really watch a lot of Dolly performances.
Neither do I, actually. You just know like her famous songs, Jolene, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
There's that one with her and Kenny Rogers, Islands in the Stream, and he passed away recently, which is very sad.
RIP.
Yeah, she was very sad about that.
Yeah.
They're best friends. But moving on. Number 2, true or false? The first cloned sheep was named after Dolly Parton.
True.
It is true. So the sheep's name is Dolly, and it was named after Dolly Parton because the cell that was cloned to make Dolly the sheep was from a mammary gland cell.
Okay, that makes sense. I was going to say, did it look like boobs? That's funny.
Yeah, it was boobs.
Are her boobs, they're not real, are they?
They are not. For a long time, she like basically claimed that they were. Maybe for a long time they were, but now she's like full on like if you're unhappy with it, get it nipped, get it tucked, get it whatever you want to do.
Maybe she naturally had huge boobs and she got them like reshaped.
I think so. Yeah. So Dolly the sheep, named after Dolly Parton and I think it was like the men who were taking care of the sheep on the farm. They were like, we should name her Dolly. Number 3, Dolly Parton's hit song Jolene. Have you heard it?
Yes.
Perfect. Her hit song Jolene was written about, you have a multiple choice here. So A, a banker, B, an exotic dancer, C, a colleague, or D, a bartender. Do you need me to repeat them?
No. I'm going to go exotic dancer.
I would have thought so too, but that is wrong.
Okay.
It is actually a banker.
Really?
So this song is about an especially flirty banker who was very clear with her affection towards Dolly's husband, Carl, whenever they went to that bank. According to visitmysmokies.com, it kind of turned into a joke between the couple, and Dolly teased him saying, "You're spending a lot of time at that bank. I don't believe we've got that kind of money."
That's funny. That makes me like that song more.
I know. Like it was never at stake. And like she talks so lovingly about her husband. She's like, there's never been anyone else. I can't imagine. Like we're just so happy together. And to be able to joke with each other. And she writes this whole song.
That whole song, it sounds so like raw and sad too, and that is just a joke. That's really cute.
She's just so funny.
Yeah, that is really funny.
So yes, Jolene the banker. Number 4, true or false? Dolly Parton once lost a drag queen Dolly Parton lookalike contest.
True.
It is true. So in this contest, she basically just overstated her beauty mark, made her makeup and hair a little bit bigger than usual. But other than that, she just went up as herself and lost. Dolly says that all the queens were probably just thinking she was a small gay man. She loved watching all of them on stage, and she said that they all earned it. Their costumes were amazing, and they had clearly worked for months on them.
Don't you just wish she was like a grandma of yours?
I really do.
Yeah, she sounds. I mean, I love both my grandmas.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to trade them, but like,
I just want
she
another
sounds
one.
just like the sweetest. Yeah,
yeah, she's awesome. So if you are not convinced yet why I think she's possibly one of the best, most popular people on this earth, I'm gonna bring up her Q score. Have you heard of a Q score before?
No.
I had not either. So I will educate you.
I need it.
I did too. I was like, what is this? It's kind of crazy actually. But this guy, Jack Landis, created this Q score back in 1963. And now this marketing company called Marketing Evaluations Incorporated uses it to measure how liked and how popular celebrities are. And so they have Q scores in all different categories.
We should submit our names.
We should. There are like 25,000 performers in like their database now.
Dang.
So maybe we could get in. They have categories ranging from cartoon characters, Hispanic performers. That was a whole thing where like it was like a very niche thing. So they made it their own Q score, sports Q scores, and then even performers who have passed away. And that's called the dead Q.
Oh.
Yeah. So the short summary I got from this article in the Conversation Journal is that basically marketers survey thousands of people twice a year by asking them about around 1,800 celebrities each time. So the participants are asked to answer how familiar they are with each celebrity using a 6-point scale, starting at never heard of them to one of my favorites. So if we were on this, we'd probably have 50 maybe people saying I've heard of them and they're all our friends and family.
Yeah. I was gonna say they'd have to just ask people in like Washington and Ohio.
So after that 6-point scale, they also rate them subjectively, whether they think of them in a positive light, negative light, or somewhere in between. I couldn't see the exact data on all of this because they sell it to companies to use for like their branding, but many sources have cited Dolly's Q score as being within the top 10 in the entire world.
Wow. You know, like it surprises me, but it also doesn't, because she's never had, I feel like, really any negative bad press. Yeah.
So her popularity just rises above race, culture, religion, sexuality, gender, and even music taste.
Yeah, and she's so old, but she's so relevant just like as an icon.
She's like totally an icon. Yeah. She's amazing. So I do want to talk about her charity work. She has the Dollywood Foundation, and this information comes from Wikipedia. Basically, they give out a bunch of scholarships to high school students, and it was later developed into the My People Fund. That came out in 2016. Do you remember when the Great Smoky Mountains were like on fire?
No.
Alex says yes. Yeah. Well, basically, shit was hitting the fan. In 2016, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, there was a wildfire. It's suspected that 2 teenagers actually started it, but
it's always the teenagers.
Yeah. It resulted in 14 deaths and the destruction of like thousands of homes and businesses. So in response, Dolly put her Dollywood companies together, set up the My People Fund, and donated $1,000 every single month to all the families who lost their homes in the fire.
To every family?
To every family who lost their homes in the fire.
That's like more than the government's doing right now.
I know. The government's like, here's this $1,200 check one time.
Yeah. Hope it helps.
And over those 6 months where they were all recovering, they ended up helping more than 900 families.
Oh my God.
And a bunch of other companies stepped in, and they raised over $9 million.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
So she's pretty cool. She also has headed the Imagination Library. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I have actually, but I don't really know anything about it.
So it promotes literacy by sending books for free to children every single month from birth until they turn 5 years old. So when it started in 1995, it was just in her hometown, but it's quickly expanded. She now mails books across the United States and internationally, which I didn't expect. She mails books to the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and Ireland, in addition to most states in the US.
How do you qualify for that?
That is a good question. You have to fill out an application on her thing. I didn't actually look into that, but I should. A lot of my students, like one of my students, his mom brought in books for the classroom that she just didn't need anymore, and they were like all from the Imagination Library.
Wait, are they specially like
there's
written?
A sticker on them. They're not specially written. A lot of them are like really highly regarded books for literacy, and there's like a sticker on them.
So was Dolly he Parton's. Receiving them?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
And then even going like before the school year started, I went to Goodwill near my school and bought a bunch of books, and most of them are Imagination Library books.
Wow. I guess that makes sense because we're in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's wild.
I know. Cool. And so on the Imagination Library website, I kind of wanted to know why this work was important to her. And basically it all goes back to promoting children's dreams and that she thinks, it starts with literacy. She says the seeds of these dreams are often found in the books, and the seeds you help plant in your community can grow across the world.
Aww.
Yeah. So to date, she has mailed nearly 134 million books.
Wow. I just got chills. It's a lot of books.
It's a lot of books. So that pretty much wraps up my little mini biography about Dolly Parton. I think she's really awesome. She accepts and loves everyone. She promotes self-love. And in my research, I stumbled upon this podcast that's all about Dolly Parton. I didn't really get to listen to it, but it seems dope. So basically this person, I don't even know who who it's recorded by, but it's called Dolly Parton's America. And it basically just celebrates Dolly and her life. It's only 9 episodes long, but the cool thing is that she participates in the podcast.
Does she really? Does she do interviews?
Yeah, she interacts. I listened to the preview in the first 15 minutes or so of the first episode, and I was like, I can't listen to all 9 of these episodes.
Yeah.
But it just talks about how relative she is and her life and her impact and how much they love her. So it's pretty cool. She interviews and talks to the person who does it, and Dolly Parton is, in my opinion, America's sweetheart.
She is. She really is. Thank you, Hayley. That was beautiful. That was the best palate cleanser after my story I could have wished for. So
we balance each other.
We do.
We ready?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Class dismissed. You're right. What are you doing?
I'm just going to get this up.
Sometimes you sound so alarmed, just then you're like, what are you doing? Or when you yell down to Alec, you're like, Alec, there's a panic in your voice. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I'm not doing that intentionally.
Yeah.
I don't know why it sounds like that. I don't mean to.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who hears it that way.
Well, sorry guys. I guess now if there's a real emergency, no one's gonna take me seriously.
It's like a cry for help.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just used to being helpless and your guys' help.
It's not even when you need help with things. It's just a question Hayley, can I switch your laundry over?
I think I'm not a yeller, so when I raise my voice, I'm just self-conscious about it.
Yeah. I just imagine you hyping yourself up to raise your voice.
That's exactly what happens. I get nervous before I even have to call one of you guys.
Have you seen the John Mulaney bit where he's in the bathroom stall and someone knocks on it and he's and his voice gets really high?
Someone's in here.
Someone's in here. Someone's in here.
That's 100% what happens to me. I'm sorry.
Good. From now on, it's going to be a shared experience where we just we all know.
You've done this thing though, where now you've made something that's already nerve-wracking for me. Now I'm even going to be more.
It's going to be more
self-conscious
nerve-wracking.
about it.
It's not going to be a thing where you feel relieved that we understand you.
No, I'm gonna my voice is gonna crack next time.
I'm going to mock you.
Great.
I'm going to bully you.